The Metis Tech Show.
Welcome to the Metis Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
I like how you guys bounce back and forth between heat pump talk and food talk.
The Metis Tech Show.
Mitsubishi.
All right, so we just finished July 4th holiday. Eddie, did you cook anything special? Did you fire up the grill? What'd you do?
So for 4th of July, I went to Cape Cod, and my father-in-law cooked. And, you know, I'm not very good at the grill. I'm okay. But my father-in-law, you know, he can use some work. We had some very dry shish kebabs and lots of dry food. Very overcooked. But
Hockey puck burgers.
oh, it was hockey pucks. You have no idea. I could have thrown that and hit somebody and knocked them right out. Oh, yeah.
Does he listen to podcasts?
No, thank God. That's why I'm saying it.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that.
No.
Yeah, I went to my brother's house, was down in Bourne, down on the Cape. And my sister-in-law is one of the best cooks I know. And she had all kinds of stuff. There was steak. There was these short ribs that she slow cooked. Of course, there was all kinds of pasta salad and things. And there were burgers and dogs for the kids. Although I did have a burger and I had some short ribs and a little bit of steak. And there was 6 different kinds of salads, pasta salad, potato salad. Everything was just so good. And I make this thing. It doesn't sound appetizing at all, Steve. I've brought it in before. And I learned how to make this from an old Portuguese lady who lived across the street from me. And it's just basically 4 ingredients. It's cornmeal, it's bacon, it's crushed hot pepper, and it's water. And you mix all of this together in a bowl, you spread it out on a cookie sheet, and you just bake it. And we used to call it hardtack. You know, it's something you carry with you. You put it in your mouth, and it's dry, and it's hard, but it's just so flavorful. I made that.
You brought it in before. I got down on that stuff. It's pretty good.
And what'd you do for the 4th?
Nothing exciting. It was so hot out. I mean, I don't know about up here. I'm an hour and 15 minutes south of here, so I'm near the Cape.
It was in the high 90s.
But we had this, it was a scorcher. And I didn't want to be out there in front of the grill. I made a lasagna.
What? You can't do that.
I made a lasagna. And you know what? I know that sounds absurd on the 4th.
That is so the most un-American thing I've ever heard.
But, I turned the AC down to 68 in the house. I was pushing my AC unit quite a bit. And I threw that lasagna in the oven. And we just, I don't know, we relaxed. But the kids told me that was the best lasagna that they have ever had. And I put some love into it, but I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. I did. I used vodka sauce instead of tomato sauce.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I had it in the cabinet. I was like, I'm going to throw vodka sauce in this thing.
Yep.
And I think that's what did it.
That happened to us. We were in Jersey a couple of weeks ago in Florence, and we went to a restaurant. What was it called? Something Bistro? B2 Bistro?
Yeah, B2.
Yeah, this place is excellent. I don't usually like restaurants with big menus because I'm indecisive. Well, I'm not so sure. I could be. I don't think so. Maybe I am. Yeah, I could be. Yes. I'm not indecisive. Anyway, you can go in there, you can get sushi, or you can get Italian food, or what else was there? There was
You could have anything.
you can have anything. They had Mexican food, you could get burritos, you could get sushi, but I had the chicken parm, and the guy said, try the vodka sauce with it. And it was like, what?
Amazing.
It's genius.
It was
it's
very,
brilliant.
very good.
That was good. So, and Steve, you know that when you turn down
So
below 70 degrees is no longer comfort cooling.
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to get to that. So I did add something else to the lasagna, though, before we move on. And now I'm realizing why it came together so well. Have you ever heard of, and I hope I don't butcher this pronunciation, it's an Italian cream cheese called mascarpone.
Mascarpone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mascarpone.
Okay, now I bought a container of that, and it's a sweet
Yep.
cream cheese. I mixed that with the ricotta, couple of eggs,
Yep.
Italian seasoning, parsley,
Yep.
and whipped it all up. And I use that as my cheese layer. Oh, and I put Romano cheese, Asiago, and Parmesan mixture.
Yep.
Mix that all together, and I layered that in with the vodka sauce, Hamburg, in this lasagna. Now, I mean, it's all coming together. That's why it was so good. I'm
Okay.
gonna have to do it again.
I just can't believe you chose to do that on the hottest day of the year.
I know.
And fire up the
Terrible.
oven.
Terrible. I should be shunned. I should be thrown out of the barbecue world. But I did end up barbecuing. It just was Sunday. It wasn't,
Yeah,
on
I
the 4th.
barbecued Sunday for the church. I cooked 60 hot dogs and 64 cheeseburgers, and I burnt most of them. My grill got out of control. It was flaming hot. I was all by myself, and the thing, it was just, I turned the gas off, and the flames were coming out for a good 20 minutes with the gas off, and I cooked them at home, brought them to the church for their cookout, and they said, "You burned everything." I go, "Yep. Give thanks to God for it." That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I was making the sides for 4th of July, and so French fries. I'm just asking you guys, French fries. You ever have the Portuguese French fries that are in a bag?
Yeah.
So if you have a fryer later, now do you take those French fries and defrost them, or do you frozen put them into the oil?
It's not a good idea to put anything frozen into hot oil.
Yeah,
That's all I'm telling you.
Right.
yeah. So
It's the same
defrost
thing.
it.
The turkey fryers. If these people fry turkeys, that is not a good idea.
Not
You should not
ideal.
do that. No.
Yeah. Especially with your shirt off. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I tried it. It didn't work out too well.
With your
Yeah.
shirt off?
Not my shirt
Oh,
off.
okay.
But my arms felt it.
Were the fryer outside?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
outside.
Because I know a guy who burnt down his house
Doing that.
frying a turkey,
Jesus.
deep frying a turkey, and it was frozen. I don't know who the hell.
I know one of those guys. I know what guy.
I know a guy. We know a guy. He's in Chicago. He listens.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Steve, this heat wave affected you a little bit, huh?
It did. But before we get into that, we are going to start releasing episodes every other week. So bi-weekly. We're going back to what we used to do. And sorry, fans, it's we want to come up with better content. Right now, we are
Too busy.
super busy.
Yeah.
The training team is super busy, and we don't want to just throw out, episodes. We want to put good episodes together, maintenance tool episodes, some really good maintenance tool. Those are probably
Well,
our most popular episodes of the maintenance tool episodes, right?
Hold up. Let's make it clear. I believe in no bait and switch. I want to be full disclosure up front here with everybody. Don't expect the episodes to get better. Okay, we just don't have the bandwidth to do this every week.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. So we're gonna do our best. We want them to be useful and valuable to people, and we get a lot of emails that say that they are. I remember one of my favorite emails, and I forget who it was. It was right when the episode came out. They had that incident happen right then and there. I think it was Cole told me that, and he just went back. And you don't have to listen to the podcast. I didn't know you could do this until he mentioned it, but you can go look at the text of the podcast. So he just went and read through it and read ahead where it was, and it happened to be the exact same thing we talked about. But yeah, our bandwidth is very small right now. We're way too busy. It's the heat of the summer. We got a lot of courses we're updating, some products we're
Products that
launching.
we're releasing a
We're
ton of
traveling.
products.
We're traveling everywhere for meetings and this and that. And we just don't have the bandwidth to do this every week. So it's going to be every other week. Nick, I'm sorry.
But that's temporary. That's going to be temporary, I think. But here's the thing, Paul. I was just thinking to myself, we just added some amazing talent to this
We
team.
did. Eddie's one of them.
Eddie's one of them.
How long
We
you
got-
been here, Eddie?
3 months.
3 months. Well, if you had mentioned you didn't know how to use a grill at the interview, you wouldn't be
I
here.
wouldn't be here.
We got William Ross.
Yeah.
Will is amazing. We got Marcus in Chicago.
Published Charles off there.
We got Robert, if he doesn't fall asleep,
Yeah, he's good.
on the episode. But no, now we can say, hey, guys.
We got a new hire. A new guy.
kids.
Got a new guy we just hired in the West Coast. For,
Oh, yeah.
Los
Riz.
Angeles Training
Riz
Center.
is going to be, I think he's going to be
He's a sharp kid,
comes from a long line of family of actors. So I think he's going to be,
and he's wicked smart. He's like he's got like one of those brains that just I don't know how they work, but anyway.
Yeah.
So again, after this episode, there will not be one next week. There'll be the one the week after, and every other week after that. Temporarily, we don't know how long, but let us catch our breath, get ahead on some projects, and then I'm sorry, but we'll try to go from there.
Yeah.
But let's not set the expectation that the episodes get better. I don't want to disappoint people.
Steve,
yeah, we
you
gotta-
set the bar here very high, and Paul came and just said no.
No,
Drop this down.
it's called being pragmatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I think we can pass the torch to a lot of our new talent.
Yeah.
You know,
We can't let them do this.
Yes. Yeah.
I told you I gave my notice yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 5 years. Gave my 5-year notice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm retiring.
Right.
All right. So
Sure.
anyway,
I don't know.
let's go back. Let's go back to the 4th of July. Let's go back to this thing here. We've had a heat wave in the Northeast here.
Yeah.
It's been in the 90s, very humid. I think the dew point was in the 70s.
We hit
75.
100 Friday.
Yeah, we hit 100 broke a record on Friday here. I was just on a meeting with somebody in Minnesota. They got to 95 in Minnesota, which is unheard of. So what we're going to talk about is based on what happened to you. So tell us what happened.
So yeah, I don't know what we're going to name this episode, but I thought about maybe last minute maintenance, right? Not a good time of the year to do maintenance.
Yeah.
But that's
Emergency maintenance.
story of my life. I'm always fixing things at the last minute when I should have done this at the beginning of the season. But it was, let's see, what day was that? That was Thursday. We were kind of up there in temperature. We were about 90, I want to say 98,
Yeah.
97, 98
it was
degrees.
It was at least the mid 90s.
And humid and sticky. And I went in the house after cutting grass, and I was out there cutting grass, by the way. I did it in the morning before, and the temperature was still 82, 83.
Why don't you have your kids cut the grass?
They cut it all crooked on purpose, so I don't ask them to do it again. But
They do that on purpose. They don't ask them again. They win.
But anyway, I finished cutting the grass, finished trimming, all that. I'm completely covered in sweat, and I walk into my house, and I'm expecting to feel this freezing cold breeze when I walked in, and it was much cooler than outside, but not what I was expecting. And I knew something was wrong. Something was wrong. There was no air coming out of the grills. So I went over to the thermostat, and the thermostat was set for 69, and it was 74 in the house. So I'm like, oh boy.
Now, 74 is not bad when it's 94 outside, but
Yeah,
that's not what you want.
right. So first thing that came to mind, I don't know why, but this always comes to mind first, blown capacitor. I got a unitary system. I don't have a Mitsubishi system. I have an old 4-ton 410A split system.
Yeah, but what happened to you applies to every manufacturer.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. But the first thing I thought of was capacitor. I got a bloated capacitor. Something went wrong with my capacitor when it's hot out, and this is floating around in my head too. Burnt leads on my compressor, melted leads.
yeah, I've
That's
seen
the
that.
worst, right? Compressor overheats,
Yep.
condenser's dirty, compressor overheats, overamps, and it melts the wires. These are things that I've seen in the field.
We all have.
I went outside with my tools. Again, I'm completely covered in sweat after cutting grass. I don't want to be out there. I want to get in the shower, but I got to get this going.
Yeah.
And I'm panicking. So I take the cover off of the condensing unit, and I notice that the contactor's not pulled in. Oh, okay. Capacitor looks good. I got voltage coming in. So next thing that I thought of was float switch in the attic. And sure enough,
Flow switch.
flow switch in the attic. I go up into the attic and start walking up to the unit. Unit's all the way, air handles all the way in the other opposite end of the attic, and I could see water in the pan from a distance.
So you have an emergency drain pan underneath.
Yes.
With a float switch there. So when the float switch, it's a normally closed float switch. So when it rises, it opens, and you have it breaking one of the two wires going outside.
Right.
The Y, probably the Y wire
Yes.
going outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's the beauty of it. When I installed that AC system 10 years ago, just a little less than 10 years ago, I went all out. I went all bells and whistles. The biggest thing that I used to see with those auxiliary drain pans is when they fill with water, there's a serious amount of water in
Yeah.
those pans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And I filled a 5-gallon shop vac and more,
Yep.
pulling the water out of that pan. So what I did 10 years ago is I hooked up a PVC pipe with a valve.
Yeah.
So all I needed to do, and I was like, this is great. You know, I did this so long ago. I forgot I did it. I opened the valve and the water just ran right out. But it didn't, because my P-trap was plugged. All right, so neglect. Again, neglect. How do I clean this P-trap? I popped the vent off. I had a little piece of vent pipe sticking up. I popped that out. I could see that, it was filled with water. It was dirty. I got to get my shop vac out, go outside. I go outside, grab my shop vac, put it on the end of the pipe, and good Lord, the water that came out of there, and just disgustingness of slime that was inside that P-trap. Things that I should have done at the beginning of the season, right? Wrong time of the year to be doing it. But now that I got everything taken apart, or I'm actually working on this thing, let me clean the condenser coil. Let me wash the condenser coil. It's not an easy unit to clean because I have to take the whole outside of the condenser coil sheet metal off the outside of to expose the coil. And I didn't have any cleaner with me, but just the garden hose itself did a great job getting rid of grass clippings and some dirt that came out of there. And you can just tell that the unit was just running so much better after I did that and got rid of all that, cleaned that drain line. So long story short, not the right day to do it.
But had you thought ahead, which a lot of people don't, and did this maintenance in the spring before you needed it, you wouldn't have had this problem.
And I could have had it. It could have been a lot worse.
Okay, right? Much worse.
A bloated capacitor, hot temperatures like that, blown.
Listen, if you had called the service guy out there and he made it out there that day, he would have loved that call because it would have been one of the easy ones to go. That just boom, get out of here, give you the bill, and go. But did it ever occur to you to call somebody?
No.
No,
of course not. I fix everything myself.
Yeah, see, that's how my wife gets me. She goes, "You want me to call somebody?"
Yeah, right.
No.
Now, when I have an electrical problem at home, my wife's like, "You want to call an electrician?" I'm like, I kind of am an electrician.
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, you're not. You're an HVAC guy." She doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
HVAC guys, we're electricians, we're plumbers,
I actually talked to a plumber on 4th of July. He was a younger kid. He's just getting into plumbing. And his father is an electrician. He's going into plumbing. And his dad was like, if you have any questions about the field, this is a great table to ask. And he was like, that guy does HVAC. He was like, HVAC? He's like, no, not for me. He was like, that's a little bit too much. You do electrical and you do plumbing. He's like, you're doing a little bit of each. And it's true. HVAC, you really do. You do a little bit of each.
Kind of a jack of all trades.
When I used to install the systems in new construction, the electrician I'll just run the wire. They don't know how to wire thermostats. Most of the ones I do. To find an electrician who understands low voltage is pretty cool. But I'll run the wires. You plug them in. But yeah, you're a little bit of an electrician. You're a little bit of a plumber. You're a little bit of a carpenter. Anyway. But I want to go back. I want to go back to your drain pan. Because if you have a Mitsubishi unit, so you have a unitary equipment in your house, I have a Mitsubishi air handler in my attic.
It could have easily been an SVZ.
Right. But I have the PVA in my attic, which I also have a drain pan in there. But there is no Y wire, right? And what a mistake a lot of people make is they got the wire coming from the controller to the unit, the two wires coming from the controller to the unit, and they break that with the float switch. That does nothing. We don't have thermostats. We have controllers. Our controllers send a signal, a data, ones and zeros. It sends a command to the endo unit to turn on. I could take that controller off the wall and last command wins. It doesn't know the controller's off the wall. It's going to continue with whatever the controller told it to do last. So if you break one of those wires with the float switch and the float switch opens, nothing happens. There is a CN4F jumper on that unit. Right. It's got a loop of wire. You cut it, you strip off a little bit, and that's the wire that you break with a float switch. So if it happened to me, I would have gotten a drain fault. It would have come up on my controller, and it would have, whatever the fault code is, what is it? Is it a P5, I think? I don't remember what it is. P5, something like that. It would have come up, and I would have looked. I would have had the same problem. And
now, come to think of it, I didn't break my yellow on my I broke the red. Because remember, I said I walked into the house, there was no air.
Oh, yeah.
There was no air at all. I don't have any
Oh, that's
heat.
right. You
I don't
broke
have
the
any
red.
heat on that system or anything. It's just strictly AC. So breaking red.
But it accomplishes the same thing.
Exactly.
It accomplishes the same thing. I used to break the Y wire because if it was an ice up, a freeze up, you'd want the fan to go running. That's what, so you lucked out. But there's different things to do with the drain. So let's go through what should you have done to your system in the spring or late winter before you need to do anything. Let's start with the obvious, is filter.
Right.
Right? I love those calls when I used to walk in. When's the last time you replaced your filter? And they get the look, filter? What? Filter? There's no filter in the system. Okay.
Oops.
This is going to be a good call.
Yeah.
Right? What about the indoor coil? Did you do anything with that?
So I didn't do anything. I took the panel off the indoor unit and it's clean as a whistle. I mean, maybe I could use some cleaner on it, some evaporator cleaner at some point, but I didn't do anything with that. I did change my filter. I had just changed my filter. I ordered some filters, some Merv 8 filters off of Amazon. I got 5 of them for like pretty expensive, $40 for 5 filters, but they throw away Merv 8s. I had done that, but as far as like what should someone be doing to a unitary system or even one of our systems? I mean, looking at a unitary system, you could wash the evaporator coil, wash the evaporator pan. Right, that's a good idea to do. And these are all things I checked, but
Right, but the maintenance that I've said this before, and a lot of people get confused. I've heard contractors come to class and say, "Well, you don't need maintenance on these." So yes, you do. The maintenance that you do on a Mitsubishi heat pump is the exact same maintenance that you would do on just about any refrigeration equipment. It's all the same. You got to clean the outdoor coil. Now you just used water, which is fine. It's the stuff that gets in there, depending on what you have. It could be the fins. It could be the little spines, the little spine fin things.
Yeah, the old train style spine.
Right, but you
coils,
gotta get some water in there, and the people think, "Oh, pressure washer." You bend those fins and you misshape them with a pressure washer, and you're worse off than you were before.
Right.
You got to get in there, and it's nice to get inside the coil and blow the water out. Well, any junk that's in there, because it's going to get sucked in. So go to the suction side of the coil, wherever that is, and blow the opposite direction. You just got a nice hose and a regular nozzle ought to do it. You don't need a pressure washer in there. It causes damage to everything else. Look around on the electronics. Look around, make sure the wires are not frayed, they're not loose, not burned. Look at the printed circuit boards, make sure there's no discoloration on there. If you got a unitary system, there is a way, and I can't remember what I did, but I used to test the capacitors.
Microfarads, yeah.
Yeah, you can do the microfarad. You can also check the voltage. I forget how to do it, but since we don't have that, I'm not going to worry about it. But in the drains, so our units, some of them have a drain lift-up mechanisms, right? And they're technically not a pump. It's just an atomizer drains that run continuously, I should say.
Yeah.
As long as the unit is in cool mode or dry mode, right? It's just gonna run. And the ducted units and the sealing cassette units, it pumps these up, and the manual will tell you how high you can come up. And be careful with these ducted units and with the sealing cassette units, because that dimension is not how high from the drain outlet you can go. It's how high from the bottom of the unit that you can go.
Right.
Like in a sealing cassette, it's the sealing plane. And then you have to turn, and from there, go gravity or into a condensate pump.
Right.
And you go gravity because when those, and the reason it has the limits on there, on the height limit and the length limit, there's a maximum horizontal distance you can go before you go up, and there's a maximum height difference. When that pump or that motor stops spinning, when it goes off of cool or out of dry mode into off, that pump is going to stop, and then that water is going to come back and fill the pan. If you exceed those lengths, you're going to get a leak every time that system shuts off.
Right.
Because all that water is going to go into the pan and overflow. That's the amount of water the pan can hold. So if you got a drain fault, and most units are going to have, it's either a CN4F connector, on the city multi-side, or on the BC controller, it's either CN, is it 31 or 13?
Yeah, CN31.
31, I can't remember.
Or 13.
Or
It
13.
depends on the model.
Right, and you're going to look at that. Look for that little jumper wire, and that's what you break if you're going to have another condensate pump or something. Because if you got a condensate pump up high and that fails, actually, no matter where you have it, even if it's a finished basement, if that pump fails, you want it to turn off the water. You don't want it to keep draining in there. So look for those things.
But going back to my air handler in the attic, and again, it's a unitary system. I looked at the drain pan. I've basically every other year, I'm looking in that unit, and it's spotless. The drain pan is spotless, no slime, no sludge, nothing that I would need like a chlorine tab for. And that's something a lot of people use, depending on the condition of their drain pan. If they get a lot of slime that sits in there, you may want to put a chlorine tab in there. But I had none of that. And then going out to the outdoor unit, again, I hit it with water. We could hit it with cleaner, but the whole thing with cleaner is make sure you rinse. Acidic cleaners, and make sure you rinse and rinse and rinse, because if you leave residue, you're going to destroy that coil.
Yeah, it eats away at it. I've seen the cleaners like a unitary product. I've seen the cleaners like the coils, the fins have paint on them.
Yep.
It just peels the paint right off, and now you've clogged it even more.
Yes, and following the directions on the back of that bottle is important. How do you dilute that acidic cleaner?
People just mix it in, they eyeball it.
Yeah.
You see it foam up. You can actually see smoke coming
off the condenser. Yeah, that's no good. That was a lot of what I used to see at the hospital I worked at. We did a lot of maintenance all year round. MRI rooms and CAT scan rooms that need cooling all year round. Huge load. And we need to clean it constantly. And guys would just mix. Everybody was different how they mix the cleaner. When they see smoke coming off the coil, they think, "Oh wow, this thing's doing its job." And no, you're destroying that coil.
If you put those fins, they've done studies and tests. You put those fins under a microscope, and they just pitted. They just damaged. And you keep doing that. Wow. You do that year after year. It's going to eat away at the coil.
How about the indoor? So when I was in the field, what we would do a lot during maintenances was the indoor blower wheels.
Yes.
We would constantly clean those.
Yep.
That's like a big part.
They get neglected quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking unitary, the big squirrel cage blowers, I've pulled mice out of them before. And all the little scoops get filled up with dirt. You don't move air anymore.
I've had them so bad. I've had a couple. I've done this a couple of times on a unitary. The squirrel cage was so clogged with junk that the only way I could get it was to go to one of those car washes where you can drive your car in and get the wands. You put a couple of quarters in.
Yeah.
And I used that to clean the blower wheel because it wasn't going to come out any other way. It was just caked, and put it back. And that's what usually you see that when people have pets and they don't have good filters, they don't change the filter. But on our wall units, what I used to do for maintenance is I would use a mild cleaner on those coils and on the indoor unit, and then I had my nitrogen tank, and I had a flare piece of 1/4-inch copper on the end of the hose, and then I would take that copper line and go through the drain into the drain, and I would put a towel there, and I would blow that drain out with nitrogen just as part of maintenance. So if anything got in there, and then I'd want to make sure I go outside to where the drain is terminating to make sure the water is coming out. It's that should be wet there and not dry.
Right.
And going back to your, Steve, what you have there, that drain pan. When I used to install these in homes, I think there was 2 options. You could put a drain pan in there, but I also, whenever I could, used to put a secondary emergency drain in a conspicuous location. So it would be a drain that would just be a pipe with a 90 just sticking out through the soffit. And I used to tell people, if you ever see water come out of there, you call us right away. That's where the pan would empty out into. So you wouldn't lose your cooling, but at least it'd buy you some time until we can get there. So those are the 2 options you have. I decided to put a float switch in mine too.
But now going away from the unitary equipment and looking at Mitsubishi equipment, ductless equipment, especially the wall unit, the frequency and maintenance is going to be a lot more. You may need, depending on the conditions of your home, you may need to clean that wall unit 2 or 3 times in a season.
Yeah, you may have to change that.
They get
filter.
pretty nasty.
And wash that filter on a regular.
Right.
That's not a once a year thing. Washing those filters is not a once a year thing.
But not only that, pulling the blow wheels out. You know, Eddie, we just had vocational students here recently, and what we like to do with them is we bring out, 4 or 5 wall units and have them take it apart. And we have like little races, right?
Yeah.
You know, students
time.
love to do it. Take the covers off. Let's see how fast you guys can pull the blow wheel off without breaking anything. That's a key, right?
Did you make sure they had no leftover screws?
Yes, I told them. I said all the screws, and not only the screws, but the covers for those little screws. Are the first things that people lose is a little plastic cover that covers the screw, right? But yeah, you got to pull the blow wheels out. You got to wash them. You got to get all that crud off of there. It'll start to smell like smelly socks in your house, and
And it's a good idea while you have the blow wheel out, just take a damp rag and clean in there and behind it. All that stuff that's in there behind, because now you got nothing in your way.
right.
Right, you can blow out the drain, like I mentioned, while that's there too. And those wheels, people, it's a pain. No, it's really not. It's one of the easiest things to
No,
do. is
it's
take out
really
that wheel.
easy. And when I tell students in class, I can have that blow wheel out of that wall unit in less than 5 minutes, they're like, you're crazy. And I'll show them how fast it is. Once you get used to it, find that set screw and how everything sits in there. Just make sure all the parts go back in, the bearing, little rubber bearing on the end. Make sure that all goes back into place. But what else on a wall unit do they have to look at and wash? The drain pan, right?
drain pan,
Drain pan. Which there ain't much to that drain pan.
No,
But making sure that it gets cleaned. Any additives, any chlorine tabs, or things like that, be very careful. It will damage the plastic drain pans if you're not careful with
I don't
that.
think you really need those.
No,
And you were talking about that slime. When you have very humid climates and you have aluminum coils,
Right.
there's a whole bunch of stuff online, articles about it and videos. They call it drains to knot. And, they've done studies on that too. You can't kill it. Like those chlorine tabs will make it worse.
Yeah.
It actually feeds off the chlorine. So if you got a unit that has aluminum coils and you're in a very humid environment down south, the Caribbean, that's gonna be its own problem. So
I got
careful for
a
that.
quick question. So with cleaning the blower wheel, which is a great question here, is there a recommended way to clean that blower wheel? Is it always recommended by Mitsubishi to remove that blower wheel and clean it that way? 'Cause
Yes.
there are people out there doing the bib kits and nitrogen, trying to clean it in different ways. But the way we recommend it is
If you can get that blow wheel cleaned with a bib kit without making a huge mess in the home.
Yeah.
So some of our wall units are very friendly as far as getting in there and the water running through and not damaging anything, because you have a big plastic scoop behind that blow wheel. So that's, if you hit it with water. Some of the tools that they've come out with recently, power washers, low pressure power washers, and bib kits, make it a breeze to clean that.
The thing I would be careful of is you got all the electronics right there. Electronics and water don't mix, so be careful you don't get any of those electronics wet.
Right.
And one drop of water in the wrong place, it may not be instant. It could take a while. So just be careful of that. No, but personally, I don't think you're gonna get that blow wheel clean unless you take it out really clean. You'll get it a little clean, but to really clean it, you got to take it out. And it depends on what's on it. If there's a lot of pets in the house, a lot of pet dander, if you've got a dusty area, there's a high traffic area with carpeting, all those little microscopic fiber, we talked about that last week, all that stuff gets on the blow wheel. The one thing that you need to know is whatever gets on a blow wheel does not come from the equipment.
Yep.
It's not the equipment. It's whatever's in that space. So it really depends on the environment that unit is in. And hopefully you're not using this in some type of toxic environment, in a commercial area. And I just remembered there was one call that we had when I first got here that had stuff on the blow wheel. Nobody could tell what it was. It turned out after they investigated and looked at it and had it tested, it was in a master bedroom, a big, huge McMansion. It was in a master bedroom, and it was right near where the lady's makeup table was. Oh. So when she put up her makeup, this stuff was actually dripping from inside the unit. Right? And we did have a blow wheel that was sent to us that kept getting caked up, and we did some testing on it. We found out it was THC. because it was in a grow house.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and that blower wheel disappeared. Nobody could ever find it. Just saying.
Wonderful.
Would you
Wonderful.
recommend also, because when I was in the field very recently, there was recommendations of UV lights. Are UV lights recommended?
No, in fact, they're not allowed.
Not allowed.
No. We
good to know.
we put it in writing. You cannot put the UV lights in there. They will cause damage to
the
the
coil.
equipment. They eat away, I think, on a microscopic level to the plastic, the pans and things. So
That's actually an application note.
yeah,
if I'm not
so
mistaken,
we
or
say
a
no
policy.
UV lights.
That's good to
Yeah.
know. That's good to know. Very good.
Yeah, so that's important.
And then looking at ducted units, we talked about wall units and, looking at ducted units, you're still going to have to get those blow wheels out and washed at some point.
Yep.
Don't bury these things up above the ceiling and no access panel. You're never going to have to get to it.
Yeah,
They're-
you can go right to the bottom of these things. Everything comes out the bottom. It's not that difficult to take out. But yeah, you got to take out the wheels if you're gonna, especially if you're not changing the filters or not using good filters.
It's a
And
dual
again,
squirrel cage setup and pull on a ducted unit, pulling that out. The SVZ air handler. It's just like a unitary air handler. You're going to pull that squirrel cage out, wash that as well.
Yeah, and if you're on a city multi piece of equipment, what happened to you, Steve? If you were in a commercial building and you had city multi piece of equipment with 10, 15, 20 indoor units on there,
Oh, yeah.
it would have turned off your whole system because it assumes that you put everything into a common drain. So if that drain clogs way downstream at a common spot, and you just shut off the one the closest to that spot, the lowest unit,
Right.
it's the others are still going to create condensation, so it would still flood. So that's just one of the features. They're going to err on the side of caution. So it's even more important to do maintenance than to clean out those drains and get them going, because you don't want to turn down a whole building and shut it down because of lack of maintenance.
Right.
You lucked out. If you weren't in this industry, you good luck.
Oh,
How long do you think it would have taken you to get a guy to come to your house on a Thursday and it's 95 degrees outside?
And if I knew nothing, if I wasn't in HVAC, what would I have been thinking as a homeowner walking into my house and saying, something's wrong?
I need a new system.
Yeah. Oh my God. They think the worst right away. And then you don't know, because you're going to have somebody come to your house and hopefully he's trustworthy. And he's not going to say, hey, you need a new condenser or you need a whole new system for 20 grand. Oh man. But I knew right away going in, like, first things first, capacitor's blown. Second, the compressor wires are melted or something, because it's just so hot out. That's when these things happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I used to find out in the field working on units, is blown capacitors, wires melted off the contactor or off the compressor terminals because it's so hot out and they're overamping.
Maintenance is not going to prevent you from having a service call, but it's going to lessen the odds. It's going to put the odds in your favor, and the chances of having a service call are going to go down dramatically. So do the maintenance.
Yeah.
I used to love going on these calls. You'd go to an office, you'd go to a house, people are dying, it's so hot out there. I remember knocking on this one lady's door, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you. I could kiss you." I said, "Well, it's going to cost extra, and it's going to take me 5 minutes longer to fix it." That's a true story right there.
You're a sick man, Paul.
I know.
But I think we covered most of everything. I mean, we didn't talk about the condensing unit and cleaning the leaves and the dirt and debris from the bottom.
Rodents.
Want to make sure that it come wintertime that if the unit it's a heat pump and it has defrost. I don't have a heat pump; it's just a unitary AC unit. But if it was a heat pump, you have to make sure you had a heat pump.
Yeah.
You still do.
Still do.
You went from a train heat pump.
Yeah, XM, which is a
Split
very
system.
good heat pump. I loved it, but it was fine. It was working great. But I just got to the 20 some odd year old, and I said, you know what? The technology's changed enough, and I'd rather do this now, because as I mentioned, I'm hoping to retire the next 5 or 6 years or whatever it is, and the last thing I want to do is replace a system when I'm going to retire. So this is the last system I want to put in my house. And I just went to a PVA with a PUZ outdoor unit, and my electric bills went down already because I did put the electric heater kit on it, and they never once came on.
Yeah.
Last winter, we had some pretty cold,
definitely.
pretty cold nights this last winter. But yeah, the maintenance I think is what's important. It's going to save you. And the contract. If you don't do maintenance, I mean, maintenance contracts as a business owner, it's a good idea to get and to be involved with. You're only helping people, because something when there's a heat wave and everybody's calling, people are going to call whoever's going to answer first. I want to call 10 companies, and you're going to take care of your customers first. And if your customers aren't calling you because you did the maintenance on them, which you hopefully made money on and charged the maintenance plan, then it allows you to go service some other people and get some new customers and get some loyalty maybe there.
Just saying that it's good. I think it's great to have maintenance plans, and it's great to get out there. And I think it's great to educate customers. When you're going out there, make sure you're educating your customers, explaining to them what you're doing, and explain to them why they're doing this maintenance. It's very important for their system. If they're doing it in the spring, explain to them why in the summer, why it's so important, why you want to keep that airflow, why you want to make sure these filters are changed. Like, people don't realize it until it happens to them.
Yeah, and there's one other thing. I think the people who listen to us mostly are in our industry, contractors, business owners, and sales folks, I think. But there's another thing that's very important to explain to an end user, the consumer. I used to get a lot of calls with, hey, I just put this air conditioning in. I just turned it on. It's not working. When'd you turn it on? Oh, 2:00. Sorry, it's 90 degrees outside. It's, you turn it on at 2 or 3 o'clock. That's it. You're done. So I mentioned this earlier. It's comfort cooling should not ever go below 70 degrees. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first started here, it was down in the St. Louis area. One of the distributors was saying, what do I tell this guy? He can't get it to 67 in his house. And I'm going to go on a service call. You shouldn't go on a service call. That's not a service call. It shouldn't be 67 in anybody's house.
Right.
Because if you size that for 67 on a 90-degree day, it's going to be oversized 360 days a year.
Right.
So you can't do that. An air conditioning system on a design day is designed to run continuously all day to maintain that temperature. It's not designed to bring it down from 80 to 70 in an hour. Mm-hmm. If it was, it would be cold and clammy in your house all the time. So you need to explain these things, especially when you're putting a system in for the first time. Explain the noises that they may hear. Explain, things, the comfort, and it's what you set it at. You don't go below 70.
The calls that you get, what is the noise outside? Defrost.
Yeah.
Or
things that just need to be educated.
Or there's smoke coming out of my unit in the winter.
Right.
It's not smoke, it's steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's condensation.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys this. Should a technician be putting gauges on a system during a maintenance?
No. I've mentioned this before, too. Yeah. I used to have the school. I was teaching at the school. In 5 weeks, just the practice of putting gauges on and off, because we want them to know that inside and out. Recovering, evacuating, charging.
Right.
They would go in 5 weeks through a 30-pound can, just what was in the hoses. So no, gauges are only to be put on if you suspect a seal system or refrigerant problem. I would check airflow before I put gauges on a system. Right. I would check everything else. When I went to school, decades ago, the instructors said, if you go on a service call, replace a thermostat, put your gauges on. If you replace a capacitor, put your gauges on.
Right.
That's when we expected everything to leak, and we were okay with it leaking. When R22, you could go get a 30-pound jug for like $12.
Yeah.
All right. And we care now. We're better. Our industry is better than that. We shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
We need to get.
There's a lot of controversy with that. Should we, because you may work for a company that wants you to put gauges on the system and record everything, what you found for pressures during a maintenance and all that. And it's just, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
You're asking them to create a leak.
If you're going to do that, then you should do one of two things. The technician should know how to pump the system down so there's nothing in those gauges. You have the what do you call them?
Low loss
fittings. Yeah. And then you take off the high side and then you open everything up, and you want that to be 0 before you take the low side off, or close to 0, right? Or they got the new digital gauges where there's no loss of refrigerant. Right. They're Bluetooth gauges. You just put the thing on there, it's not going to get anything.
Cross-contamination is another thing to worry about, putting gauges on the unit. How, stringent are you with having different gauges for different refrigerants? Or are you just using one manifold for
everything.
and you don't know what's in your hoses?
Yeah, you don't know what's in that system, even if it's the same. Even if all you deal with is 410A.
Right.
Well, was that installed? Was it evacuated properly? Is it all full of is it starting to build some acid in there? You don't know.
Were you just on a mineral oil system and you just put your gauges on a POE system? That's trouble.
I carried a set of gauges for each refrigerant that I used. I never mixed them. And then I'm sorry, there's no need to throw gauges on a system. If you've got good airflow, you've got good delta T. Those are the things I'll check. If I get a good delta T and it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, I am not putting gauges on no matter what.
I was doing a maintenance in our area, and I went to someone's home, and I'm one of those people that delta T was the way to go. Check your delta T, go to a maintenance, check your delta T, check your temperatures, make sure everything's in range. And I did that at someone's home, and I explained it to them, explained what I did, and the homeowner looked at me and said, "Did you check my refrigerant?" I said, well, I did this, this, and this. This is how I checked your refrigerant, but I didn't put anything. I didn't check it physically. I didn't put my gauges on. She was like, oh, you didn't put your gauges on. It doesn't sound like you did your job. Yeah. And it's just the way that some companies are just wired that way. Like they know you come every month. You know what I mean? We recommend one thing. Exactly. You have to just keep explaining and educating.
Yeah. People used to think in the cars, well, I just go to the auto parts store, get that little jug of refrigerant.
Needs a pop.
It does not. No, if your system needs that, it's a problem. Don't.
Just needs a pop.
That's it.
Put that freeze on in there for me.
Yeah. You know what we forgot? Welcome, everybody, to the Metis Tech Show. It's too late for that. So what's the next holiday we have coming up?
Labor Day.
Labor Day?
Labor Day.
Yeah.
So, Steve, what are you going to do for Labor Day? Cook a turkey?
Yeah. Corned beef and cabbage.
That's gross.
If you didn't learn anything out of this episode, you learned today that lasagna is the most American thing you can make.
Yeah. You don't make lasagna on the 4th, and you don't do maintenance on the 4th. Two things you learned on this episode.
Yeah. You know what? It's your own fault. See what you did here? You had to go up there in a hot... How hot was it in your attic?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that. God bless technicians out there that have to go up into these attics in this hot weather. It was, I want to say it was in the 130s when I was up there. It was brutal. I wasn't up there that long, but I went up a couple of times to check, and I got a walk-up attic. So I can just open a door and walk up into the attic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have to put a ladder up or anything like that.
No, I got to pull downstairs, and I can't stand up in my attic. I got to crawl. At my size and age, crawling across that floor, that stinks. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you have any insulation up there?
Yeah, I got my roof is insulated,
right.
not the ceiling. I got my roof is
the
so the whole attic
nice.
is encapsulated.
That's really nice. At least you don't have blown in. If you had blown in, then
no.
Hot and sweaty with some blown in insulation.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, no,
terrible. But anyway,
all
right. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
All right, we'll see you.